How do the rich manage their time? The Art of Success warmly greets all viewers. Hey, have you noticed when we search for the keyword financial freedom on YouTube, almost everyone teaches you how to make money, right? I really wonder if you have clearly understood this logic yet. Do you think that just having 100 or 200 billion will make you free? Do you think that once you have 100 or 200 billion, you can completely withdraw yourself? That is actually a quite naive thought. In reality, financial freedom is the combination of the two words financial and freedom. In other words, we don't just need money, we also need freedom, right? In previous videos, I have shared many ways to make money with everyone. These methods all require your comprehension. But today, I want to talk about an issue that can change your entire life. Everyone can do it and must do it. That is time management. Speaking of a time management master, recently this term seems to have become a negative, ironic remark. But honestly, if you live on and never get better, shouldn't you reflect on how you manage your time? I want to ask everyone, you've lived all this time. How many things have you done that make you confident? Can you say them with your head held high? In this world, every day we see many people fail simply because they don't know how to manage their time well. They are aimless from childhood to old age. They achieve nothing in life. Then the subconscious mind comforts itself thinking, "This is okay, I'm just a normal person." And like that, your entire life will just be a weak person, becoming a lamb for the strong to harvest. There's another type of person who feels they live very busy every day, but because they don't know how to manage time, they can only work tirelessly day after day. They can't travel when they want to, they can't spend more time with their family, and they don't even have a day to rest for themselves. They are exhausted, very tired. That's why many people often complain, "Oh, 24 hours a day is really too little. How great it would be if a day had 48 hours. I wish I could have another 500 years." That sounds really ridiculous and a bit bitter. Because those who complain all day about not having enough time spend 1 or 2 hours every day sitting in a coffee shop to show off and appear sophisticated. But in reality, their income is so meager that they have to rely on the illusory validation from others to live. As for me, every time I sit in a coffee shop, my income does not decrease because my company no longer requires my direct management. It operates automatically now. The time I spend drinking coffee is a time free from pressure. I just enjoy reading, feeling the real tranquility, relaxing my mind for contemplation. Unlike those who sip coffee while worrying that they have to go to work again tomorrow, Monday. I am not boasting. I just want to tell everyone a truth. If in 10, 20, or even 30 years you still don't know how to manage your time and still don't know how to allocate your time reasonably, then I ask, won't these sufferings of yours last forever? So how can we control our time? How can we avoid wasting our time on useless people and matters? Today, I will speak frankly, holding nothing back. How to achieve freedom, financial freedom, spiritual freedom, and time freedom.
But before everyone becomes a master of time management, I still want to emphasize one thing. This channel was created to share the mindset for wealth building for entrepreneurs, investors, and wealthy people. If you are interested in these things, you can subscribe to my channel and turn on the notification bell. I sincerely bless everyone who clicks the like button on this video. I wish everyone to achieve financial freedom soon. Thank you to everyone who liked the video. Enough said. Let's get straight to the main part. First, we must understand a concept: how to avoid wasting your time on fools and the poor. I will tell you a story. After listening, please observe for yourselves whether you also frequently get entangled with such people. There was a man named Benjamin Franklin. He was a famous scientist before the United States was founded, also a revolutionary in the American independence movement, and one of the founding fathers. Before the U.S. was founded, Benjamin Franklin owned a bookstore. One day, a customer wanted to buy a book. He walked to the cashier to pay. But just as he was about to check out, the customer said, "Miss, could you sell it to me a bit cheaper?" At that moment, the cashier replied, "Excuse me, sir, our books are not discounted. This price is already very preferential and reasonable." But the customer kept insisting, just like the habit of bargaining that many people do. He said, "Why can't I get any discount? Give me a little more discount." So he haggled for over 10 minutes, making the cashier extremely awkward. She then said, "Sir, I am just an employee. I don't have the authority to decide. How about this? I will invite the owner out. If the owner agrees, I will sell it at a lower price. Otherwise, I can't do anything either." Hearing that, the customer immediately agreed. "Fine, then call the owner out." The girl went into the office and recounted the entire incident to Franklin. After listening, Franklin came out, angrily slammed the table and said directly to the customer, "You want a discount, is that right?" "Absolutely not. Have you ever considered that you just wasted over 10 minutes just to bargain for a few cents? Do you know how valuable time is?"
I'm telling you, not only will I not lower the price, but if you continue to drag this on, I will raise the price. Every minute that passes, I will increase the price. Hearing that, the customer was stunned and couldn't believe it. Impossible! Bargaining is a normal thing. Why would you even raise the price? Franklin replied frankly, "Don't you know? Money can still be earned, but time that has passed can never be taken back. Time is more precious than the money you were bargaining for." He continued, "Instead of wasting time on bargaining, why don't you read a few more books? Why don't you do something more meaningful? The values that books and work bring may be much greater than the few dollars you were trying to haggle for." Do you see? That is the difference between a great person and an ordinary person. Great people always know how to value and master time. What is the difference between the poor and the rich? The poor often use their time to exchange for money, while the rich use money to buy time. Why is there such a huge disparity between people? I believe many people upon hearing this will exclaim, "Ah, so that's how it is." It's not that serious. There's plenty of time, tons of time left. Look, I'm only in my 20s or 30s now. I can live up to 70 or 80. I still have 40 or 50 more years. You feel it's not that serious, right? So let's talk in numbers. An American scientific researcher has helped us calculate this. He sampled a group of Americans with an average lifespan of 72 years and performed a statistic. The results are as follows. Throughout a person's entire life, they spend about 21 years sleeping, about 7 years on personal hygiene and grooming, about 6 years eating and addressing needs, about 6 years traveling and vacationing, and another 6 years waiting in line.
And the time spent studying is only about 5 years. Many people hearing this will surely wonder, no way! We study from elementary school to university, decades. So why only 5 years? Actually, calculated over 24 hours a day, outside of classroom hours, break time, holidays, and time spent at home are not counted as studying. Therefore, throughout a person's life, the actual study time is only about 5 years. But in the end, what did we learn? Many years have passed since my high school days. Back then, my academic performance was acceptable. Math, physics, and chemistry were all fine. But unfortunately, the knowledge I memorized and diligently remembered back then, especially in natural sciences, is almost never applied today. I have even forgotten 99% of it. In contrast, the knowledge I self-studied in my free time according to my personal interests and needs has been extremely useful. For example, finance, philosophy, sociology, psychology, religion, cultural history, art history, marketing, management, internet technology, human-computer interaction, even fashion, architecture, military, strategy, and military tactics. All of it has brought me many benefits, especially for my business. You see, life is so short, yet we are forced to study things like math, physics, and chemistry. Of course, a small number of people, after studying those subjects, became great scientists who made significant contributions to the world. For those who specialize in research, it is genuinely useful, and they even need to become more and more proficient. That's right, because such talents are 1 in 10,000, so everyone has to study, and then a few of the best are chosen to be scientists, while the rest just go work as employees. Isn't that so? Back when I was a student, I read an essay by a famous person. He wrote, "When washing hands, the days flow away with the water. When eating, the days pass in the bowl. When quiet, the days drift away in a hazy gaze." I realized time went quickly, so when I reached out to stop it, I found time also slipped through my fingers. It turns out that through this essay, he wanted to say how precious time is. Unfortunately, perhaps many people have not truly understood how valuable time is. Therefore, I often think that if education were not blind, not chasing vanity, but focused on expanding knowledge in many fields, especially paying more attention to education through books, then humanity's culture and general level would certainly be greatly raised.
It's a pity that the issue of education, especially education through books, has been debated for many years, but there has been no improvement to this day. What exactly have we learned? For a long time, I always wondered how much meaning our study content truly holds. That makes me feel that what I learned before was truly absurd. Now I only learn knowledge that is useful for my business and generates profit for my company. I'm not saying that natural science is useless. The question is, for ordinary people, what is the meaning of studying so much and so deeply? How much precious time and effort is poured into knowledge that will later be forgotten? Is that really the purpose of learning? Textbooks now are said to be much more abundant and rambling than before. I really don't understand what education experts are thinking. I propose that the education sector should conduct a survey tracking how many people genuinely apply the knowledge they have learned. Even if only 1/10 can be applied, that would be lucky. Learning the wrong knowledge is worse than taking the wrong medicine, because it not only wastes your precious time, but also easily leads you to do worthless things. For me, the way to judge whether a piece of knowledge is useful is to ask myself, does this knowledge help me earn more money? Does it help me run my business better? Does it help me improve my self-cultivation? Any knowledge that does not meet these criteria is meaningless to me. It's okay not to study it. Whether you currently want to become an entrepreneur, a boss, an investor, or a capitalist, you must clearly see one thing. Does what you have learned previously truly help the path you are about to take? So how can we achieve freedom?
Rich Dad once said, "Let money work for us." Before, I thought that was true, but now I realize that letting people work for you is what's important. If you hire a regular employee, of course you can use money to have them work wholeheartedly for you. But if you want to build an automatically operating company like mine, you absolutely must elevate your thinking. You must use ideology, culture, and spiritual values to attract talent. Only talented people are those you can trust to entrust your company to. And only talented people are capable enough to help you manage the business. If you only use money to hire people, the relationship is just about money. Whoever pays a higher salary, they will switch jobs, and then you lose everything. This leads to a very important point. Many people find they don't have enough time, feeling that time is too little. The main reason is that they don't know how to delegate work to others. They try to shoulder everything themselves. Speaking of this, I must mention one person, Zhuge Liang. When I read The Romance of the Three Kingdoms, I understood a principle. It affected me very deeply. Everyone knows that Zhuge Liang is the symbol of wisdom in history, feeling like a god who calculates and measures everything perfectly. But he had a huge weakness. He was overly cautious and meticulous in everything he did, always wanting to handle it himself, never comfortable delegating to others. He did not have a right-hand man, nor an heir to cycle. That was the cause of his failure. Zhuge Liang did not want to train more talents to share the workload, nor would he delegate work to others. He took on everything himself, exhausting his physical and mental energy. In the Romance of the Three Kingdoms, there is a passage where Zhuge Liang led his army at Wuzhang Plains, preparing to attack the Wei army, whose opponent was Sima Yi. The two sides faced off, and Sima Yi resolutely refused to engage in battle. He knew that the Shu army had traveled a long distance, and their provisions certainly wouldn't last long, so he just defended without fighting. Zhuge Liang thought hard, but found no way, so he devised a plan to provoke the opponent, sending a letter of insult to force Sima Yi to come out and fight. But Sima Yi remained unmoved. After that, Zhuge Liang laid a very dangerous trap. He wrote a letter and enclosed a box of women's clothing, which he sent over. The letter sarcastically said, "You are a great general, holding military power over the world. You should be thinking of ways to charge into the battlefield, kill the enemy, and achieve merit. But you just hide inside, no different from a woman. So I'll send you some women's clothing as a gift. If you still don't come out to fight, I will continue to send more." When Sima Yi opened the box and read the letter, he couldn't help but be shocked. This was the method Zhuge Liang used to provoke, hoping to force his opponent to deploy his troops for a decisive battle. At that time, Sima Yi looked at it, smiled softly, and called the messenger back to ask, "How is your prime minister's health lately? How much does he sleep every day, and is his appetite good?" The messenger heard this and thought Sima Yi was quite concerned, so he immediately replied, "Oh, Prime Minister, we have been too overworked lately. He barely sleeps a few hours every day, and he eats less than 700 grams per meal." Upon hearing this, Sima Yi secretly smiled to himself, thought this is excellent, and then left. When the messenger returned, Zhuge Liang asked, "Well, did Sima Yi get angry when you saw the letter I sent? Does he intend to go to battle?" The messenger replied, "He was not angry at all. On the contrary, he inquired about your health, asking if you slept well and how your appetite was." Zhuge Liang heard this, looked up to the sky, and lamented, "The one who understands me is none other than Sima Zhongda." Sure enough, not long after, Zhuge Liang passed away. It's not necessarily a premature death, but compared to that age, he did not live as long as Sima Yi. The reason is very simple. Zhuge Liang took on everything himself, refused to train others, refused to delegate work, which resulted in exhaustion, loss of appetite, restless sleep, draining his mind and body, leading to an early death. Thus we see that even someone as intelligent as Zhuge Liang, if he didn't know how to manage time, it would be difficult to maintain his health and life. How important is time to a person? Many people must be thinking, "It's not that I don't want to delegate work to others, but I'm afraid they won't do it well," just like Zhuge Liang. Zhuge Liang's caution is understandable, but you have to consider the cost yourself. Training others is costly and time-consuming, but in the long run, it is a necessary strategy.
As long as that person doesn't make a mistake so huge that it causes the whole team, yourself, or the company to collapse, you can forgive them and give them a chance. Just like the famous Chinese entrepreneur Wang Xi, he once handed over the CEO position to a young man who was only 21 years old. Many people objected, saying, "Someone this young will surely make many mistakes." But Wang Xi said, "What's wrong with making mistakes? As long as it's not a mistake that leads to the company's bankruptcy, just let him make mistakes." Because people grow through making mistakes. Let him make mistakes while he's young, and later he will surely mature and one day become a general capable of bearing the heavy responsibility. As a result, the company he managed became a resounding success because he knew how to delegate and train talent. Thanks to that, the business operated automatically. As for him, he had plenty of free time to go mountain climbing, date a young girlfriend, and live a very comfortable life. All this is simply because he knew how to delegate work to others. So, if we are in the striving phase, how can we manage time well? Actually, you just need to understand one logic. Everyone has the habit of writing a to-do list, but when listing tasks, how do you prioritize them? There are 4 types. 1 is a task that is important and urgent. 2 is a task that is important but not urgent. 3 is a task that is not important and not urgent. 4 is a task that is not important but urgent. If you are not clear, you can review it multiple times to grasp this logic, and then choose for yourself which task to prioritize. I believe that the majority of people choose the first type of task, which is doing the tasks that are both important and urgent first, right? But if you truly want to become a person with great achievements, an exceptionally successful person, you should not choose the task that is both important and urgent. The first logic is that we should not let important tasks become urgent. Of course, natural disasters and human calamities are unavoidable. For example, if you're sick today, you are required to go see a doctor. But I'm not talking about those unavoidable things. Rather, what should you do in your daily life?
You should do the tasks that are important but not urgent. I'll give an example and you will immediately understand. Knowing that illness is a serious matter also means that you have realized the importance of health. In that case, you need to immediately exercise, practice wellness, and implement health protection measures. Thanks to that, you will minimize the possibility of getting sick. Because you proactively did the important but not urgent tasks, you will no longer have to fall into urgent situations. If it's still not clear, I'll give another example. Suppose today you bought a bag of bread and were about to eat it, only to find 2 loaves are about to spoil. You tell yourself, "Oh, these 2 are about to spoil. I have to eat them right away, otherwise they'll be wasted." So this task becomes important and urgent to you, and you hastily eat both loaves of bread. After eating, you can't eat much more. You have to wait until the next day to eat again. But the next day, because the weather is hot, a few others spoil, and you rush to eat those too. This repeats, and you never get to eat fresh bread. Have you ever thought that if you decisively threw away those 2 spoiled loaves of bread, you would always get to eat the freshest and best-tasting bread later? My point is not that you absolutely must throw it away. You can have other ways to handle them. But what I want to say is that if you prioritize doing the important but not urgent tasks, you will see that a task that is both important and urgent and messes you up will never appear in your life. These are the 4 principles of time management. From now on, before starting any task, you need to clearly distinguish whether it is important or urgent. Then, make a reasonable plan. At that point, your time will be managed very reasonably, distributed evenly, and you will no longer be reactive. I believe that many of you have gained many insights up to this point. All right, time management is actually that simple. It sounds very easy, but honestly, doing it is not easy at all because there are always internal conflicts. But actually, we don't need to be too strict. Why? Because if you are too strict, living will also be very tiring. Therefore, this depends on each person's individual habits. Since time is limited, today's video must stop here. I share free information on how to become rich, an entrepreneur, an investor, and achieve financial freedom. If you don't want to miss out, I still recommend you subscribe to my channel, hit the notification bell, and share the video widely with everyone. I bless all of you who have liked this video to achieve financial freedom soon. As long as you find 1 or 2 useful sayings in what I shared today that can help make your life a little better, I am already content.